Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the George.Daniel podcast. I am your host, George.Daniel, aka your favorite podcaster, aka your girl's favorite podcaster. But before we get into the next podcast, we have our sponsor, Liquid Death. You can go ahead and check them out at www.liquiddeath.com or your local convenience store, 7-Eleven, Safeway, Walmart, all that good stuff. But yeah, Matt, how we doing?
Chilling, dude.
Chilling?
Yes, day at work.
Oh, dude.
My dispensary decided to cut all the prices on everything, so fucking we got hella customers in there.
Fuck.
I don't know what they're doing, but
Like post 420
yeah, I don't know.
sale?
It's better than 420 sales. Yeah,
That's crazy.
I feel like they're trying to like go to war with all the dispensaries around the area.
I mean, I get it business wise, but also like,
I don't know, dog. But we were hella busier today. I was like, God damn.
yeah, that's crazy. But I mean, hey, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a very special guest today. We have Avery with us today. Shout out to Avery. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you for having me down.
Dude, no, honestly, thank you for coming out.
He made me take the BART.
Whoa.
He was like, you have to take the BART. It's part of getting down here.
Whoa.
He was like, I won't even get you anywhere. Dang. You have to take the BART.
Any guest needs to provide their own transportation.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like, if I don't see proof, you take the BART. I better not hear about you want to live.
Just send me the Cash App. I'll pay you for it. But like
$3.
But thank you everyone who comes out, everyone who shows up. Avery, thank you for coming out.
You're very welcome.
Dude, no, honestly, this is really dope because we've worked with one another like maybe like 3 times, I want to say,
like
in the past with like Meraki and Beat Lab and everything. But what you guys are doing is really cool. You guys started off maybe like 2 years ago, right?
So I started Beat Lab like a year and a half ago, kind of by myself. I was like just super fucking tired of getting treated like shit by like managers at bars, specific managers at bars. And I
have questions on that,
sure.
But yeah.
Well, in my head, I was just kind of like, dude, like I can probably do this better. Like I was booking at F8 and they were like all of my events and I was like not sleeping. I like couldn't afford to eat spaghetti. And I'm like, I was like, I can probably do this. And it was, I was just kind of seeing the same DJs over and over and over again. And I wanted to try to bring up some new kids. Like we're very much about the local talent.
Right.
I think we live in a city full of headliners.
Right.
I want to see these DJs, main support for these bigger headliners coming in. Yeah. If we weren't here keeping the city alive 7 days a week, just nobody would come here. Right. Like San Francisco, if it weren't for the local DJs, like killing ourselves, like, all right, having a lot of fun, but like, kind of sitting here and, so Beat Lab was kind of created in mind to like, pull in local people and support local vendors. So it was just me from about September. I was like booking people into venues. And like I think the first one I did was Andreas from Take a Chance Records. So they wanted to get into Monarch. So I was like, all right, I have a connection. I got him into Monarch and I was like, just put my logo right on your fly. And I saw it and I was like, and then like it just kind of like escalated from there. I was throwing events at Phono Bar and I, was having, I was like talking to people like, who do you have that's a DJ? Like, give me them. And I ran into this kid, Ryan Alex. My dad actually brought him in because my dad's cooler than me. And he brought this kid in. Like, my dad sent me his like SoundCloud and I listened to about 45 seconds of it. It was like the first 15, the middle 15 and the last. And I was like, hey, Dad, book him. And my dad's like, I just said, I was like, I said, book him, Dad. I was like, come on, Dad. Like, so that kid came down and he ended up being the actual reason that I put a collective together. Like he was just so good and I couldn't let go of him. He actually ended up just making a 4-track EP that he sold to No Fuss.
Right.
It was rad, like doing all kinds of stuff. So,
he was the kid that you DM'd me about, right?
Like a while ago.
Right.
Yeah. Like a lot, like last year maybe.
Yeah.
So if it was something that was like, yo,
I said kid, but he's definitely older than me. Like, definitely older.
Yeah, and
than me.
I call all of them in V Lab. Oh, like the kids. There's like,
Right.
and I got like El Scuba. He's like older than me, and I'm like,
Right.
shut up. He's like, hey mom. I'm like, all right.
That's hella funny because like the same way that we talk about Lex, right? Lex, we always say Mama Bear, right? Because she's the one who created it. So like we're like, all right, thank you for the opportunity, you know, blah blah blah, all this shit. But at the same time, we're like, okay, well, you're the mom who brought us into the scene. Now it's our opportunity or our due diligence to make it like not
like, keep it going. Yeah.
Well, also it's just like someone stuck their name out for us. So now it's our turn to be like, all right, well, we gotta fucking show out, you know?
Yeah.
And that's not fair.
Yeah.
It's not fair to just have someone stick their neck out and then us not show up. Right.
And it's kind of that whole like the thing that like Beat Lab is very good at. Everybody is super, super close. Like everybody really enjoys each other.
Right.
Like at any point, like some of us will be hanging out. Like it's very important to us that nobody spins alone. So no matter what, even if like one person can make it and then you two go to another person's event, because when you have a collective that's like, you know, big,
Right.
and we're not always doing just Beat Lab events. Like everyone has their own individual things that they do. So there'll be kids like all over the city, and we'll just kind of like, who's going to who? All right,
Right.
go. And it's it's really cool. The support is really cool.
So with Beat Lab, and with that being said, everyone go follow Beat Lab on Instagram.
That'd be cool.
That'd be really dope. They're doing a lot of really dope shit. But with that being said, like how many people in the crew are there?
So we've got 12. So we've got 12, and they range from, so like the kids are like 24, I think is our youngest one. And then 28, 29. And there's just like a bunch of kids in there. And then I have like a 35-year-old, and then me and kind of the older, or like the elders, Andre too. Yeah, like I'd say it's kind of like a 50-50 split between kids that are like under
Well, that's a really good
30
crew. That's a really good crew,
It
right?
is, and like-
because like with Meraki, we all kind of generally kind of started at the same time, like give and take a year,
Right.
You know, but at the core, we all started at the same time,
Right.
Which is really cool. But when some people are blowing up a little bit bigger than some other people,
Yep.
it's like it's a weird dynamic when you started at the
and
same
especially
time.
as like a leader too. Like, so there'll be times,
that's a whole different conversation.
Well, and then like there'll be times when there's events, and so what I worked really hard with Beat Lab was to get different DJs, right? Like not all house DJs, we're like a pretty global. Like I've got a kid from Venezuela, I've got Colombian kid, I've got New Delhi. Like I'm brown. Like we've just got Caribbean.
We're also really fortunate to be in the Bay Area, right? Which is a super worldly, eclectic fucking area.
Well, and I started to not see that though in the city. All I was just seeing was the same like tech house, the same like 4 crews, and I was just like, ugh. But there are so many people that should be heard, right? Like they just didn't have the platform. I was like, no, I'm going to make sure that no matter where I am, I'm that platform, right?
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's awesome. That's awesome. And like, I mean, like not to use what we call Lex, but like, that's like Mama Bear shit,
100%,
you know?
yeah,
That's
100%.
like, that's that like, hey, well, like, just because I'm not on the lineup doesn't mean that I couldn't help someone else get in the lineup.
Right, totally.
You know?
Totally. And like, I do a lot of work to like, if somebody asks me like, hey, which one of your kids like should play, the one that's right for the set, right? Like it doesn't matter if the right
like
one
that.
for the set is 2 or 3 times in a row. That's who was right for the set. You know what I
like
mean?
that. I like
yeah,
that.
and I'm encouraging them very much to like play your comfort, right? Like I'm not a techno DJ. People ask me to play techno. I'm not a techno DJ, right? I can play techno, right? It's not my favorite thing. There are so many like Tiana. Ridiculous, insane Oscar. Like
Tiana, come on the podcast. I love you so much.
Hi Tiana, look, I'm on a podcast. But like, you know what I mean? And like, I'm a drum and bass DJ at heart. So there's like, and then it kind of comes down to like Sabi talked to me and he was like, why don't you ever play like at the good hours during our events? And I was like, because people already
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I'm like, people already know I am dumb. I'm not throwing events for me. I was like, you get up there, right? Like, but it's really funny to watch them be very like, it's wild. It's like not, they're appreciative and all this, everything is like, I love you. Like, thank you so much. And blah, blah. I think what it is though, is like, they saw my dream and they stepped into it, and it's becoming their, like, part of their dream too. And it's really neat.
One thing
Sure.
is, I think in a lot of ways, and I will say this out loud, is it takes someone to stick their neck out, right?
My friends call me a cult leader. Look,
it takes someone to be like, I think we're good enough, right?
Gosh,
and then,
darn it.
you
Yeah.
know, like,
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
fucking make a logo. I'll do everything,
Totally.
you know? And like,
Yeah.
I'll do it if it means that you guys will be behind me. Because like, at the end of the day, like, Meraki isn't shit if it isn't the people behind it, right?
And this is what I'm
Beat
trying
Lab
to get
isn't
them to-
shit
yeah.
if it isn't the people behind it.
well, and I think they're very focused on, like, again, the just idea of it. Like, I started Beat Lab literally by myself, like, in like under the blankets, like, I'll show you everybody, right? Like, and
That's how
then,
it happens, though.
And then I found these kids one at a time, and I have these amazing stories about how I met all of them, and like, you know, and the thing is, every kid that gets added, like, Beat Lab changes, you know, and
Right.
it's been a very big thing because they just give me all the respect, but I want them to feel the respect too. Like, I did not build this by myself, you know, like, I had an idea. Fucking people have ideas all the time. This one just so happened to be cool.
It's just hard. It's like, I've been on both sides, right? Even if we're just talking about like myself and Meraki, right? When I first joined Meraki, I joined something that was already something that was established, right? Even if it was like before they had their first real like event.
Right.
Well,
And that's still the planning
something.
process in that is like huge. That's like a
Right.
really big. And so I think that's what I missed out on because I started planning that stuff by myself.
Right.
And then like this kid, Ryan, and then these other kids. And like, I didn't plan on starting a collective even until this year. And now we're creeping up on our 1 year anniversary of like our first show together is coming up in June, which is absolutely fucking wild.
That's
to me.
crazy. That's a milestone, honestly.
That's when I asked Tiana to be in the crew. On that night.
Okay,
I walked
honestly,
in.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I asked
crew
Tiana to be
is
part of
decorated.
Meraki a while ago.
Damn.
I asked Tiana so long ago to be part of Meraki, but she was just like, I don't know. I have like multiple crews asking me and blah blah. I thought she was gonna go with Mioli. That's who I thought she was.
Y'all, let me tell you something. I walked up and I had like.
And shout out Mioli. I love you guys. There's no hate. I don't give a fuck. But we all know who she chose, right?
No,
you know,
because I
like,
win.
you know, like.
And her and Andre, I actually asked to be in Beat Lab on the same night, and it was like that first event night. And I went up and asked her, and I was so nervous. Because she's just like this pillar of a human being. She's just like the most beautiful soul. She radiates.
Well, also, like, we're the same height. She's like this tall, beautiful human who is full of energy,
You know
right?
what?
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's almost daunting to go up to her and ask her for a favor.
Yeah, I would.
You know?
First of all, I would rather like kick a bunny, and I'm not into animal cruelty. Look, I'm a native heart. I'm not into animal cruelty, but I would rather kick a bunny, a baby
No, I
one,
feel it,
than ask her, like, put her out. But I asked her, I like looked up at her, and I was like, "Do you want to be a villain?"
Yeah.
She was like, "What took you so long?" And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, bitch."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, she's fucking awesome. And like for the most part, like from the people who I know, like, who I've met face to face, who's a part of Beat Lab, they're all fucking amazing people. And
Super
like you
kind.
said,
Yeah.
you have people from Venezuela who have I met, and I've
He's
given
in
him,
LA right now.
I'm giving him a ride to like the club that he needed to go to,
That fucking
you know,
kid.
and like all
I
this
swear.
shit. Like
I shoved like $20 in his pocket this morning. I go, get on the fucking BART. You have to go to the airport because you got to go to LA, big time.
Dude, like,
he
that's
was like, he was like, "Can I have a little more money?" I was like, "God damn it, I'll Venmo you." Yeah.
I need a little like snacks, you know.
I was like, me and Sabi are so fucking much
But
alike.
that's crazy.
I told him, I was like, "Sabi, I figured out what our first TikTok's gonna be. Me beating the shit out of you in the middle of the street. Get over here, boy!" Like,
Dude,
he's always like, "What? What?"
Dude, that's crazy. But like, honestly, I feel like we as creatives need someone to poke the bear.
He's the one.
You know what I mean?
He's the one. He absolutely will. Whatever, because it doesn't work for me to be like, "Hey, do you think?" I'll be like, what are we doing?
Right.
Sabi's like, hey, you did that and that's stupid. You shouldn't do
Like,
that. And
right-
we're like, what?
like right now with the with the way that Meraki's kind of been going, and like maybe this is like some like BTS that like no one's really privy to, but like Lex is the organizer.
Mm-hmm.
She organizes. I'm the like dysfunctional, like this person's awesome, this person's
That's
awesome.
great. We
you
all
know?
need a HR.
Right, and
Yeah.
like that's who I feel
And
like I
that's
am.
not
I
me.
feel like an
Yeah.
HR A&R type, like you know.
Dude, and absolutely, like every group needs that. It is not me, and it's not that I don't want to be. And like all of the kids, if they need anything, right, they come to me. I'll fix it, right? Like,
Right.
But I can't. I'm not the one that's going to be like, oh,
Yeah.
hey, look. Anybody in the city knows that if they need a forehead kiss during their set, you fucking just put your head down. I'll give you a little
Yeah.
forehead kiss, and then we all have a good time.
Right.
That's
Well,
how
okay.
fun
Okay.
is it?
Not that I don't necessarily believe this, nor do I know if this means anything. But what is your sign?
I'm an aquarium, and my moon is in retro Gatorade, the blue kind.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that flavor.
Yeah.
So that must mean that like we're compatible, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
I mean like
Same
yeah
Gatorade,
like
same.
mine's red and like that's cool, but like also like I'm fiery.
Raid, recognize Raid.
She's rolling her eyes. We BTS. We have a studio audience today, and she's rolling her eyes right now. But like it's
Raid,
so,
recognize Raid, dude.
But, like,
That's what they
yeah,
always
yeah,
say.
but, like, for real.
No, I'm an Aquarius. Which always confused me. I thought they were like fish or something. It's
I
like
thought
an
they were
air sign.
fish.
The fuck, like
That
it's an air sign.
that
right?
makes zero sense.
I have no
How
idea.
are Aquarius, aquarium, aqua.
Yeah, look,
Water.
you get it.
You know,
get it.
like
yeah. I don't. It doesn't make any sense to me. But also, I don't get it.
that's fair. But like also, all I would say is since I'm a fire sign,
Sure.
you gas me up.
That's right.
You gas me up, right?
That's
Which is
right.
awesome. You know, I need someone to gas me up a little bit, you know, like someone to like, you know, but we also need someone to like put out the fire,
Well,
you know.
that's
'Cause
who I am too.
It'd be burning a little too hot sometimes.
That's who I am too. I'll be like filming the kids taking videos like a helicopter parent. I'm like, you got it. You're doing great. I'm like, who the fuck am I? I was like, I'm mean.
Right.
No.
Yeah,
Like, I used to
yeah,
beat
yeah. I
people
feel
up.
that. I
I'm
feel
so mean.
and like, and also that comes with my like passion and love as to how I treat people, right? So
100%.
like sometimes like with the people who are part of Meraki, I'm like, why aren't you doing this?
Correct.
Why?
yeah,
why?
because I love you.
You know, and it's not like it's like, oh, you're not doing this because you aren't this person.
I think it's frustration though at like, why don't you want to
frustration.
be doing this? Right?
Why
Like,
aren't you
yeah.
the person who I think you are?
That's it. Sometimes,
And
right?
that's a
Sometimes we think
it's a selfish thing. It's a
sometimes
selfish
we
thing.
put too
You
much
know,
to-
like I
right,
go to
like,
therapy. I know.
Look, man, I have 12 kids. I don't have time for therapy. I gotta make lunches every day. You know?
I feel that.
And it's so funny too how all of them like, because I used to work with kids. I was a gymnastics instructor for a really long time.
Okay,
and like,
cool.
You have like these big groups of kids, and like my kids, I would be like, "All right, everybody, sleep," and they would just lay on the ground.
Yeah.
Right. Like we would do like good for yous like at the end of every class, and everyone would high five each other. But we would all have like nicknames or like handshakes, right, for individual. Because when you're in a big group, sometimes it's like easy to get kind of lost in it and just not have a reason to kind of stand out and not have a reason to want to do more.
Right.
So what I've been doing with Beat Lab is we do a weekly at Butter on Wednesday nights from 9 to 2. And I've been having each of the kids take a turn booking it every week.
That's cool.
I'm no longer booking that event. They are doing it. Andre has been, Doc Master has been absolutely crushing it with the Fridays.
Shout out to Fridays. We'll be there. Me and Fabian. Oh, we were already there. Cinco de Mayo.
It
I'm
was
just gonna
so
say we
good.
fucking destroyed that
They
shit. There was fucking
destroyed-
300 people
It was
outside the
so
door. That's
good.
what I heard. Anyways.
It was really good. I was there. It was really, really good. Everyone clapped.
But yeah, Cinco de Mayo was fucking lit. You should have been there.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, hey, there's gonna
We
be
were
pictures
there.
here, and here.
Yeah, we were there. I'm gonna draw
it
the
was fucking
pictures.
fire.
I'm gonna draw all the pictures though,
But
from memory.
okay, so that's great. That's so sick to hear someone who's like technically like the leader, right? The mama bear, the
Cult, yeah,
the cult leader, cult leader, whatever.
It's like Robin Hood leadership. It's like a Robin Hood cult type thing.
Well, like, okay,
take money from
also
rich people,
like
we give
even
to poor brown people. We
even
love doing it.
right, but also like even just like with this podcast, right? Like sometimes like give a platform to someone, right?
150%.
Right,
That's
so
why I
you're
didn't
get-
care
you're-
that you made me walk here today.
You're just like, also, I didn't make her do anything.
suggested
I
I
just want
walk.
to say,
He
I just want to put
suggested
that
I
on the
walk.
record. I didn't make her do anything.
suggested it.
No. Yeah, also, no one told me anything. I'm just going to say that shit right now.
I was like, but my
would've
shoes aren't great. And he's like, how bad do you want to be on this podcast? How much do you care about your kids?
But honestly, like, how much do you care? Just kidding.
Wait, scale from 1 to 10 or really to not really?
But you made it here. So that means, to me anyway, that shows to me and obviously now the viewers that you give a fuck, right? So with
That's the
that
only
being-
thing I can do, right?
Right,
Like,
right.
yeah.
So with that being said, like the fact that you're allowing your crew to host the Wednesday, to host the Friday, to do all these things, and
See, I
like,
don't feel like I'm allowing them to do shit, right?
And-
Like, I
and-
think, and I know
let
what you
me
mean.
let me
Yeah,
let me just
totally.
like kind of like
Totally.
sweet talk it a
Get
little
it.
bit for you.
Get that
Like
in there.
yeah.
Get
Just
that
like
sugar in
you're
there.
just like allowing them to do all these things, to grow, to do all these things, to better themselves and all this other
I'm
shit.
so nice.
Yeah,
I'm so nice when you say it.
dude, you're awesome, dude. You're
Fucking
really
nice.
awesome, man. Like that's really cool. That like genuinely, that's really cool. Even if that means that's like if you're treating it as like I'm alleviating something out of my own plate, or allowing someone to gain some experience.
Well, and it's both a little bit, yeah.
it's that Venn diagram.
I love that diagram.
You know what I mean? It's
totally.
Just because there's two truths,
Right.
but there's an equal amount of truth that makes it reality, right?
Well, and on top of that too, like I would be absolutely lying if I sat here and was like, yeah, like I know everybody, and no, I don't. Like the fact that these kids are bringing in DJs that I've never heard of,
Right.
And I've been in the city for a long time, like that excites me,
Right.
You know, and I wanted them to see like, y'all know good DJs, like come on now, like get a fire lit under your ass. And then like the Fridays, Andre, I pulled a sneaky on him, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start like a Friday, like happy hour. And I ran it for 1 week, and I was like, oops, I have to get a job. Andre, I guess you should take this over, because he's in San Rafael, and when I met him, he didn't know anybody but us.
Yeah.
And so this actually has turned into like, again, he's got
That's
kids I
cool.
don't know. It's rad.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool because like in a lot of ways, like I think people get complacent, right?
100%.
You know what I mean? And I think it's really cool when I think it's really cool when collectives start reaching out to like no names, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but what I mean is like no names that people don't know, who aren't at Halcyon, aren't at 1015,
Right, correct.
aren't at
that's,
these,
and
you
that's
know
exactly
what I mean?
what Beat Lab, like the heart of Beat Lab was.
Right.
Was to get like we have a platform. When we do events, we book over half of our lineup as guests, you know, and like I feel completely comfortable with the younger DJs, the newer DJs in the city coming into spin with us.
Right.
'Cause we like really are trying to normalize telling DJs they're fucking doing a great job, right?
Well, also like long term, if we're talking about longevity, right? Versus, I don't want to call any singular collective out, but like the collectives who do hold these spots at these big clubs, the difference is you'll have the longevity of all the new generation coming in being like, oh, I can ask this person to like maybe do a butter, maybe do a F8,
right,
maybe
and feel
do
cool, right. These
you
younger
know?
DJs are feeling like cool because they have,
Yeah.
you know, and so Beat Lab is never also meant to be like the final stop,
Right.
Like Beat Lab is kind of like your kindergarten through,
Right,
12th
which is
grade,
cool,
right? Yeah,
you
and
know?
then you guys go do your shit. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I'm always here, but like this is where we start. Like this
And,
is where they're earning their shit.
You know what's the craziest part? We're all at that age where we all have friends who have kids.
Some
The
of them are
point
cool.
where parents freak out the most is not where their kid goes to middle school, but where they go to kindergarten, where they go to preschool,
That
where they
shit
go
matters.
to first grade.
Yeah, that
you know,
shit matters.
like that
Yeah.
beginning stage,
Getting that good base.
is the most like. Okay, we need to like make sure that they're set up for the future,
And
right?
I tell this to the kids all the time. I'm like, first of all, we got to crawl first before we run, right?
Yes.
And then also I tell them to be the tortoise, like in the tortoise and the hare, right? Like fucking look at all these people sprinting and they're just doing the same
But
shit.
if I can be a hairy tortoise, hairy tortoise, best believe I'm gonna fucking choose that
I
shit.
believe
I'm
in
gonna
you.
fucking run and crawl all at the same time. I don't go.
I believe in you. You can do that. I'm gonna choose not to run because it's athletic.
It's just
I
a
don't
lot
really,
of sweating is
Just
kind of
stand-
tough.
I have to stand up when I DJ. And that's already exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just want them to understand that like I'm not fucking handing you anything, right? Like,
I like that.
I want
I
you to
like
earn this
that.
shit. And I had a couple like Oscar and Esco. We were hanging out, and we were talking about that. And I was talking about it's really frustrating when you see DJs that aren't necessarily a nice way to say, I guess, the caliber of like the lineups that they're on.
Right,
And
for
there are
sure,
all these like big sets, and I'm consistently saying like, listen to me, you'll get there when you earn it, right? Like get there when you earn it. And I think it's more and more becoming like a drive, and they're wanting this shit. Like I put Esco on. I've been doing this really fun thing where I say that I'm on a back-to-back with one of the DJs, and then I play like 2 songs, and I go, oh, I have to go to the bathroom, and then I never come back, and I just let them play the whole set, because it's like, I've got my own stuff. I've got like Moray Rivers outside of
Right.
Beat Lab, and Beat Lab was made for these kids, right? Like I'm using who I know, what I know, like to kind of get us to where we want to be. But I do think they're all really stepping up, and they're all really excited. And like this Wednesday thing, they have really, really done a great job of just getting DJs from different collectives that would never be together in a general sense, right? Like,
Right.
And it's
No,
so
that's
yeah.
super sick. That's super sick. It's fun to see also.
And the talent we have in this fucking city is
It's
absolutely
crazy.
out of
It's
control.
crazy. But real quick, I need to take a bathroom break.
Yes,
real quick. But no, like that's really cool because
Is it?
like the one thing that I will say about like being a creator in this space, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes like being creative isn't necessarily being someone who puts out music. It's the person who puts on these events, right?
Yes,
and a lot
so
of times
much.
our names aren't out there. It's just a logo. So neither is our face. It's just the logo. But it's our logo.
That's what you fucking think. Dear
you know what I
God.
mean? But you know what I mean?
Well, and I think that B Lab has like a totally, because I didn't tell anybody I was starting a company,
Right.
or a collective. I just
Well,
put
once
my
again-
logo on flyers, like, and just people started like, oh, you run B Lab, dude. And I was like, this is so funny.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, what if we just don't tell anyone?
What was really cool about what you guys did was, once again, it was like you were saying, it was very under the radar, right?
That's very humble, very like
very
we'll
under the
earn our
radar.
spot,
Just like
yeah.
it's like, hey, if you know type,
Kind of, yeah.
which is really like it's very sexy.
Well,
you know?
and I wanted them again to like earn it, like, because I know people, right? But I worked and I did it, right? Like,
Right,
you don't get to
right.
have your nepo babies, little nepo babies.
I have so many different opinions and responses to that.
Well, there's different genres of everything, right? There's
Right.
different genres of nepo babies, and I told mine, I was like, you will not be brats. Well, you can be brats if you want. You're all adorable, but also I'm like, what do you guys want? I'll get it for you, but like, we got to do it right. You know what I mean?
Right. At the end of the day, it's like, yes, you're the brains of the operation. Perhaps you're the conception. You're
The
the
ideas,
heart.
man.
Well, like let's just say like the same way that you and Lex, you guys are the heart of it, right? You guys are the thing that keeps it pumping, the thing that keeps it running, the thing that keeps it going. And like that's really cool. But at the same time, like just like the mind, it always expands and it keeps on growing.
Well,
and
it's hard to keep it going unless you have some reason to keep it going, right?
sure,
Like it's
for
not going to
sure.
just pump nothing. We're pumping blood and shit. You know what I mean?
sure.
Like, so honestly, like if I think part of me started this collective earlier than I thought I was going to, because I was kind of like, what am I doing? Like I'm just going to put my name on flyers and just be like booking people into other clubs. Like it's boring.
Right.
And it wasn't even that it was boring. It just wasn't challenging. And I've done a lot of crazy, like I've done a lot of shit in my life. Like I was a very high level athlete in a couple different sports. Like
Can you break that down a little bit?
I was a gymnast, and then I played rugby.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, and
cool. Did you do that in the Bay Area or?
I didn't. I was on so gymnastics I did in a couple different places. So it was like Santa Cruz, Morgan Hill,
Okay, cool.
Los Banos. Because
So did you grow up in like the South Bay type area?
So
or
I
like,
moved around a lot. I was born in Santa Cruz, and then my dad wanted to like buy a house, right? Like with the dream, right? Like how old am I? 36. So like 30 years ago, he's like, yes, we can buy a fucking house in Central Valley. Let's leave Santa Cruz, which is fucking awesome, and go to Los Banos. That'll be really fun, right? It was. We got to climb in fucking abandoned buildings and get tetanus. It was rad. But like he bought a house, like he bought a
So
house.
this was what, like maybe like 2002-ish?
No,
area?
this was. Oh no! When this happened, I was like little, so I was like 7. He died when I was 7.
R.I.P. Sorry.
Yeah, fucking R.I.P. deadbeat. Just kidding. He was my best friend. It's the definition of a deadbeat. He didn't come back, did he? He's dead. Thank you. Yeah, it's gonna be that kind of fucking night. Look, the best thing about a parent dying is the jokes, right? You might not be looking forward to it, but you'll sure be glad they're there. Okay,
Dude. Okay, I love this podcast already.
Just call this deadbeat dad episode. But like, so we did that, and then when he died, like, I don't know, man. Oh, this is the part where I talk as much shit as I mean to. My mom is a fucking useless bag of skin and carcass.
All right.
Yeah, and I don't think in her head that it was possible that she would have to raise her kids alone, right?
Right.
And she's
I feel like no one does though.
You know
right?
what though? I feel like you kind of have to in your head, because if she would have died,
be prepared for it.
If she would have died, my dad would have been like, "Yep, you're still my kids, all of you." Yeah,
For sure.
The fucking litter of kids we had are also mine. She kind of was like, "Well, this happened to me," and bye, and just kind of spiraled into drinking. My oldest brother really spiraled. She made poor choices. It was just a fucking mess. And I was 7, okay, I guess I'll make dinner. I got this.
Out of your siblings, where do you
I'm
rank?
the middle child.
The middle child out of 3?
So there's a bunch of, so I have 4 brothers and then 2 other brothers that are my brothers. Right. That's, we always say we've got
For sure. My sister, I don't have any blood siblings.
Oh man, it's so fun.
I don't have any
Who beat
blood
you
siblings.
up when you were little?
My half sister.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah.
I was worried that only children don't get their butts beat enough.
No, I was
by people who know them. Family has to beat your ass.
For sure.
Yeah,
I was really fortunate to grow up as a single child between newborn till 4, and then next thing my sister came, and then everyone just bullied me. Right?
Yeah,
and then next
as
thing you know, I was
should.
like, oh shit, reality, the little world that I thought I was living in isn't
Damn,
reality.
boy.
Yeah,
You're it's shitty out here.
Also, and also because I'm a guy, it was a different type of bullying,
well,
right?
You're Latin, right? So there's a whole that anybody can beat your ass in a fucking Latin family.
Yeah.
Not just
not
just
even
your
just
mom and dad.
family. Not even family.
You're fucking Tio. You're Tio. That's not even fucking related.
Not even
Yeah,
family.
you're fucking Uncle Jose's fucking friend.
It could be the
You beat
neighbor,
shit-
and my mom will side
thank
with the
you.
neighbor.
Yeah,
you
thank
know?
you. What'd you fucking do?
Yeah, it was just it was a lot of what did he do?
Yeah,
What
of
did,
course.
you know,
You would never rate. Even if they fucking they punched you in the face and then beat you with the shoe, they'd be like, he shouldn't have done that.
Yeah,
shouldn't have run
for
into
sure.
my fist, bro.
For sure.
Yeah, and it's
For sure.
because it's the ultimate. It takes a village, fucking assholes.
It really, dude, I love that you said that, because I say that a lot. Where I grew up where it was just very much that motto where it takes a village, right? The same way that I feel like you're using your collective.
That's exactly,
right?
yeah, exactly.
So to kind of tie all of that together with the way that we grew up was it takes a village. Where as of right now with myself, right, just to only put only put focus on myself, I guess, or in what I'm doing is just right now I'm trying to make sure that the village understands the goal.
That's a very important role as well.
Versus me as a parent
Right.
understands what I'm supposed to do with my kid.
Right. Well, and then and then sitting there and just blindly being yeah, you're doing great, but what are we doing that's great, right? What am I shooting for, right? You give kids positive reinforcement. You tell them, kind of what we should change up, but ultimately, if they have no goal to work for, what are we even doing here, right? But even when this guy Eric, he's super super rad. We met each other several months ago or whatever, and he's just came into hung out with B Lab and never left, and we fucking like it like that. He runs a label with his girl Kim, and they're
Where are they based out of?
so he's here. She's in LA, so he just got back from LA, doing some shit down there. But he's talking about kind of being ready to shoot back out there and kind of find music to release, and he's looking for some like ready to go like party music, right? Like very specific. But he also started learning how to DJ. My favorite thing is I was like, dude, you have 12 people that are willing to teach you different styles, different ways. Yeah. And like on top of all that shit, I'm 100% deaf in my right ear.
Right.
So
we've talked about this before. Yeah.
So sometimes I'm like, yo, I can't teach you how people with 2 ears here. I was like, but I can teach you some tricks that like like deaf people do. Like, come on now.
And like, I like to kind of like stay on that topic, right? With that ability of disability.
Sure.
Right?
That's a nice way to say it.
Right.
Because I feel like it's actually really, it changed up a lot.
Well, I feel like if you only have half the ability of doing something that someone has the full ability, you have to be twice as good. And you have to be like, you have to be keen to certain things, right?
Everything. You got to be on guard for everything.
Like with me, right? Like, I wear glasses, right? And like blah, blah, blah. So like I kind of get it to a certain degree, but I'm not blind out of one eye, completely.
And so before we like think that's super great, I had 2 ears for like a very long time. Like,
for sure.
I was like 30. I have multiple sclerosis. So like I had this like wild ear infection and they had to do like surgery and the doctor made a whoopsie. And like, and like,
crazy.
Yeah. And it's like not even a situation where I could have been like, fuck you. But also like, I don't know, man. I've done medical stuff. It's exhausting. You don't know what that guy went through. And like, my life's kind of better.
Right.
I can turn my ear when I don't want to fucking hear whatever people are saying. It's hilarious. Yeah, I will just slowly go.
Noted. Everyone out there, if you see her doing that shit, just know that she doesn't give a fuck about what you said.
Not even one.
But
that's why this headphone's off. I can't hear. It's useless.
Like that's like, I mean, not to say that it's a superpower.
Like fuck that. Yeah, it is. So I.
But you know what I mean? Like,
I can feel the beat now. So very
For
much.
Sure.
Yeah, my fingers are highs, mids, and lows. So sometimes you'll see me like feeling the speaker, or if it's like a terrible sound booth, I'll put another. Now I'm just getting cocky. I like put in another earplug and take my shoes off. Just kind of
feel it.
Yeah.
That's some very like human, like natural shit though. Like that's really cool.
Right?
Like
just
that's a genuinely really like fucking cool. Like,
well, it lets you notice like your heart rate, your pulse, like because you got to kind of time everything together.
For sure.
You're gonna be
like I think I even like mentioned to her like 3 days ago or whatever, or like I was just saying like, oh, like did you know that like that the crossing lights, right? Like the noise that's happening, it isn't for us seeing able people, it's for the people who are deaf. And it like those beeps are an indication of north, east, and west.
Correct.
And it's just like, and I'm like, holy shit. Once I found that out, I was like, oh shit, there's like
a whole new set of rules,
right? And more are like, and it's more evident than just the little fucking bumps that are on the fucking signs, But like yeah, I was just like, oh shit, like there really is like a whole like population of humans, of people who we see day to day, where like they're not privy the same way that if I take my glasses off, I have a different reality from when I have my glasses on.
I think there's also not a big space for people to be like, you can still do this shit, right?
Look at Toki Monster, right?
Toki
Monster is a huge fucking example.
Toki
and shout out Toki Monster. Like she just played out at Midway, and she always headlines fucking LIB. Yeah, she always headlines these fucking huge.
And
festivals.
I think Toki plays so well at Midway. Like Midway, especially, Toki is just like fucking made like that place, and Toki kind of. I think the energy too.
Right.
I think it's like super fun.
I mean, like I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm just gonna like. The Midway has this fucking beacon of energy, right? The same way that I feel like sometimes Halcyon has, where it's just like, this DJ is feeling themselves,
dude, like
right?
Classy Touch just played a couple weeks ago.
Right.
unreal. Like played this unreal set. Thomas Machina just had his birthday party a couple weeks ago.
Thomas
fucking unreal.
have me on Halcyon. Thank you very much.
Also, Thomas said to do something to your nipples, and I said, "Look, man, okay, yeah." I was like, "I'm gonna do a whole bunch of weird stuff and blame it on you, Thomas."
Yeah.
It's like Johnny gives his neck kisses in regards. But yeah, I honestly, you know what it is? The best energy comes when local fucking DJs are there, right? Like when local DJs are on the big stage, watching your friend play on like a really cool stage is like, it's hard not to get at like that. Like I'm so proud of them.
Well, one, it affects you on so many different levels, right? Where it's like, you see your friend doing the thing that they want to do, right?
Proud of you,
and
dude.
this is like, I'm so fucking proud of you. But also you're seeing your friend do the thing where you're just like, I can do that shit too.
Hell yeah.
If they did it, who I know and I have conversations with and I see at the after hours and I hang out with at the fucking bars or whatever the fuck, it's just like, oh, I can do it.
Yeah, it's
right?
it's like a realistic thing. And I
Right.
think the more that we push and we step up as local DJs, and the more we bring local DJs to the forefront in these crews, and the more we mix crews and do all the shit together,
Yeah.
this is going to start happening more and more.
Yeah.
You know,
For
if
sure.
we demand it, what are they going to do?
Oh, I'm gonna sound like such a fucking hater right
Let's
now.
go.
But like, okay, so like,
Sip that raid.
yeah, I'll like, I don't mind being this person, but like, I think that the starting mark of post pandemic is so far behind us now that we can't think that we're all at the same spot.
100. And there were like, and so before when lockdown, we were coming back from lockdown, like we were able in F8 to have live streams, and there
Right.
could only be a couple people. In about, I don't know, like October or something, a couple years ago, like I went in there to play an event, and he who must not be named was like, "Hey, do you know any other fucking DJs?" And then I just started booking lineups, and like that's how it started.
Right.
But golly, some of these poor kids coming in, like we have to remember they missed like a whole year and a half of like DJing out, like bedroom DJs, you know, like
Yeah.
they've got their base and no one was there to tell them like, don't just filter out of effects out of mixes, like mix that shit, right? Like you bitch. So like, I think there is kind of, you're right. Like, but it's just so stunning. It's not at all what it was right before lockdown, because now we're having to come back and rebuild with these different materials, you know, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think in a lot of ways it's a good thing. You know, we bring the city back in a fucking way that is, you know, better and
For sure.
local.
Which like, not, once again, not to talk shit, right? But like people talk down upon people like James Hype, right? And the way that he mixes and like he uses sync and all this shit.
Who fucking cares? Play good fucking music.
I'm like, he touches every button.
And he's using it. He's not just going,
Right.
like, fuck off. Yeah.
So,
Who
and
fucking
it's just
cares
like,
if he
it's-
uses sync? Sync fucking sets are incredibly stressful, especially if you're playing in front of a ton of people. Like, who are you swinging your dick for? This guy is like, you're already getting, he fucking fuck off when you make money to do, right?
Right.
Do whatever, like, anyway, do whatever you want. Like,
For
right?
sure.
Like, know how to mix, right?
Yeah.
Know how to beat match, but fuck off. Like,
Yeah. But
Ugh, yeah.
and it's just like I think like the biggest struggle that I've had as a DJ, right? Not necessarily as an event coordinator or anything like that. Because as an event coordinator, I get the point, right? I know how to make the bar money while also making myself money, while also being able to pay the DJs at the end of the night. But at this point, I'm just kind of like, okay, well, how do I enhance our show while also being able to elevate the talent around me while not dick riding?
yes, correct.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Is just like, I don't want to dick ride. I don't want to just have the coolest female on a lineup just because she's the hot new female. And like, that's not cool.
Oh,
like,
trust me.
You know what I mean?
Dude, there's like a whole contingency of women in the. I just had a conversation about this actually this morning where I was like, hey, somebody was like, who's your favorite like female DJ? I was like, oh, we just want to be called DJs, right? Like, but there's this whole thing that's like, we got to put a girl on our lineup. Like, you fucking don't put the best DJs on the lineup, right?
For sure.
But I see what you're saying,
sure.
too, right?
But like,
no, but you are right. Like,
but like my thing as a guy, right? As a guy who is privy to these conversations and being like, oh, like who should we have on and blah, blah, blah. I hear the names that are being thrown out and it's the same names, don't get me wrong. But it's just like, but like, did you hear about this person? Did you hear about this person? Have you seen this person? And it's just like, it's not a matter of gender, but it's also like who can like
bring people that
bring
I mean
people,
and that right there, that's exactly what like you have to do,
and especially like no offense, but like most of you girls are gonna be fucking openers. Like, let's be 110% honest.
Yo, doggy, do you know my favorite thing in the world is when like, so when I used to get like, when I started DJing, it'd be like, I'd show up and I'd know I was the only girl on the lineup, right? And I'd also be like, so I'm opening or, right? Like I'd show up and I had a couple times like, I think my friend Yasser, who's fucking rad, I love this guy, is like, shit. Like after I played and I was like, ha, let's go, motherfucker. But it's like, you're right. Like you're absolutely right. And that's just like,
it's crazy.
It is crazy. And like, I think a lot of people feel like, oh, we're going to give her a chance.
That's what
Thank you. You're so brave.
I think that's the part that me, even as a dude, pisses me off. Where it's just like, I don't like seeing dudes acting like you're doing someone a favor
when you're asking me to come spin on your lineup.
Yeah, when you're asking them to promote, when like your opener has more followers on social media than like your mid to maybe even direct support. And it's just like, that to me is baffling.
It's silly goose shit.
Like numbers wise, me as like I'm a numbers guy. I see everything and just like, all right, well, like let's just say you gave a promo code to each DJ, right? Which I think more and more people should be doing.
That's actually starting to happen more and more. And like
it was very prevalent
there it is.
Before the pandemic, right? But and then like
I feel like it was a contest before the fucking pandemic too. It was just kind of like,
I think
kind of like who's bringing the most people. Like,
I think before the pandemic, it was it was definitely like nepotism, right?
Nepo babies.
Yeah.
It's telling you, it's genres.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But like now, like, I think like we have the opportunity and we have the know withal or the knowledge or the fucking like you know what I mean, you know, fuck you guys whatever the fuck, but you know what I mean. It's just like the knowledge of being like, oh, okay, well, like they as females aren't just females.
Thank you.
They're fucking real DJs who not only like produce music maybe, but also like fucking bring people to the fucking like
well,
they're the reason.
Have you ever heard a good female like DJ? It's like you could give us the same tracks, right? We mix them completely differently, but it's funny when you listen to like a female spin, if they're right, like Shiva, like Whitney, you know, like the ones that have been doing it for a while, it's just like very thoughtful, like very like not swinging dicks, like just a few moves. And it's not that guys are like, but you guys are just like harder about it, right? You're like,
dude, guys, let's just be real. Guys go for home runs.
I wish guys would stop using dub echo. I wish everyone would stop using dub echo.
Yeah, guys, stop using dub echo. Fucking, this is so annoying, guys. Stop.
He said it. You heard it.
I use that shit. But at the same time, like my thing is just like I don't like the fact, genuinely, like I just don't. What I like about what Lex is doing out in Sacramento, right, is that she's putting females first. And that's not because it's oh, we need to like pussy power type shit, right? It's not that. It's a fact of like no one's looking at us as these artists, as the people who
we have to prove
are.
ourselves every fucking
Right.
set we play. Like I've played sets where I've gotten paid like good money that I've like worked for and all this shit, and it's still like, oh, you're a DJ, like,
Right.
yeah, come on now, right? Like, and
it's like sometimes, sometimes I look at girls at lineups, and I feel personally like if I were them, it was almost like a handout.
so I finally started like, again, I'm not like, I'm just, what I love about what we're doing is like everybody in Beat Lab is super humble, all super want to earn shit, but also a couple of times, the last couple of sets, like I've gotten in someone be like, can you open? I'd be like, no, I fucking can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, my fingers are broken at that hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be fine by fucking 11.
But that's good.
Like, fuck you. Right?
But-
like, no, I
But
can't.
also what I don't like, like with that said, right? With the statement that you just said was like, you as an individual, regardless of gender, you're like, I know my self-worth, right?
Right. And I'm not, and like you're putting people who have been DJing for like a day and a half, like they're, no. Like, and it's, again, it's not even like being a bitch thing. It's getting what I earned.
For
right?
sure.
Like, yeah.
For sure.
And I hate
For
it.
sure.
I hate it that, me saying something like that is like, what a bitch.
Yeah.
No, like I
and-
just know my worth. Like,
Yeah, for sure. And like that's what me I'm before I throw another event, right? Like a real event, like I want to be able to be like, all right, well, I want to understand the entire climate, right? Like not just like the openers mentality, but also like the headliners, and also like what I would want as a person who's like enjoying the music, right?
Right.
So it was just like I want to understand all these things, but without like stepping on any toes, which is really fucking hard. It's so fucking hard.
and so the way kind of you're right. Yeah. Cause everyone gets hurt, blah, 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 but whatever.
Right.
The way
There's only 4 people on the lineup.
right. And the way I've been doing it lately and kind of like taking a step back and like not just each individual DJ, but the whole night. Right. So curating lineups with this person's going to flow into this person, into this person, and this
Right.
person. And that's it. Right. Like it's not fucking any this or that or this or that. This person plays deep house. This person plays, house music. This person plays tech house, and this person plays fucking
Yeah.
UK shit. You know what I
Right.
mean? But it doesn't make sense to put someone who plays UK first and then somebody who plays deep house in the middle. Like
Right.
it just doesn't fucking make sense.
Right,
It's
right, right.
asinine. I think too, like a lot of what's getting lost in these events is what the actual genre is that they're playing, right? So you're talking about a tribal or an Afro show and they're playing tech house, like you walk in.
Right.
And that, like, I don't think that shit helps either.
Sure.
Like,
for sure.
yeah.
I just think at this point, I think the house genre has taken over the Bay Area. So like, also us as DJs are so cheap. We are so fucking cheap, right? Like we as artists, we're like, I'm willing to do this for fucking 2 drink tickets.
My motherfucking friend, I've been so fucking verbal about this. Like, hey, listen, everybody that's listening and watching, I don't give a fuck if you have a ton of money. Take the money and burn it.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't give a shit. Take the fucking money, because
Yeah.
if you don't, you know what we have to do the next time? Convince them that we're fucking worth more than exposures. Cause I don't know what the exchange rate is right now
Right.
for exposures, but it's not great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eggs are
No,
expensive. I
for
can't use exposures for that.
Yeah, for sure.
But like I think it is about and this is the way we can do it too, is be verbal. Say, take the fucking, I'll give it to me.
Yeah.
I'm a poor give it to
Yeah.
me. Right. Like take the
Yeah.
fucking money, because they need club owners. The fuck do you have without DJs? Spotify.
Like my thing that I've learned the most with this podcast, thankfully, is I used to put a lot of blame on the promoter, like a huge amount of blame on the promoter, because those are the people who I was working directly, right?
Yeah.
But and then I like now I like really like taken a step back and been like, oh wait, but like also these bars or these clubs
The owners,
or
yeah, they're being
like,
ridiculous. Yeah, have you seen some of the rental fees for some of the fucking clubs?
I mean, I don't want to like shoot anyone down, but like some of these people are asking for astronomical
$3,000 plus a $2,500 bar minimum.
right.
And it's like, but this knocks local DJs completely out of the realm of anything, right? And that's fucking ridiculous.
And they're also putting us in the back room.
100%.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, oh, okay, well, if you're putting us in the back room, then the DJs who we did pay for aren't fucking going to promote it the same way because they know where the fuck they are.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, well, if you want a really good show with these people who bring people, then you need to fucking show that you give a fuck about these things.
Right.
You know?
And it is like, especially when you're starting out or at any time, like it is so much about numbers.
Right.
You know, and a lot of like these owners of these bars and clubs, like they're not DJs, you know, like they see what brings money and then that's what they commit their mind to. Like, it's not the same. Right. Like, and then a lot of these places, do this, weekly, monthly thing. Right. So it's very hard to get into events like if you're not already set in a spot at a bar. So it's kind of the only thing we can do is bring in guests from the fuck ever, right? Like, because if not, it's never going to expand.
Right.
And, you know, I think it is a lot of stubborn owners, a lot of people throwing weekly events, right? Is a fucking it's a sprinting marathon. But like,
I honestly could never do that.
That's why I gave it to Beat Lab.
Like
that's why the kids do it.
But like,
no, it's hard. It's fucking exhausting.
But like, that's the cool thing, right? Like with what you have is just like you have multiple people that you can kind of like.
They've all got different points of view, and they all know different people. It's so good.
And honestly, that kind of benefits you because then you can be like, all right, well, if you don't want to take this week, then next week we can give it to this person.
Oh, we have. You know? I put out a whole list of dates.
Right.
And I was like, that's fucking it. I go, everybody sign up for some dates right fucking now.
Yeah.
And they did, you know, and they're doing it. And like, I have flyer people because holy fuck, I would rather not promote a show than have to make a flyer. God damn it. I'll write it on a piece of paper with a fucking crayon. Like, but I've got very talented people making flyers. I've got like, you know, I think too, having a collective, like one of the biggest parts is everyone's hands. And the thing with having them book weeklies, like, I know I don't want to fucking keep digging. Like, I only know like, not only, but I know like certain DJs expand my mind, right? Let me know what I'm missing.
Well, also it's just like with what I would want to do with the Bay Area Meraki thing is just like, I don't want it to be a Meraki thing. I want it to be a community thing.
Correct.
You know, so it's just like whether like my favorite thing, what we were doing in the beginning was allowing people their first opportunities, right?
This is my absolute favorite thing to do.
So that's exactly what we're doing with this podcast. With even with you, this is probably your first interview, right?
As like a DJ, yeah. As like I've been on like another podcast making fart noises with my friends from high school, but I'm really good at that. So yeah, but this
like,
is cool, right? Like,
as a person who's like, this is what I do and this is what I'm going for, right?
And this, like, you know, when this came up, I was immediately like, that's why I was like, fucking, I can come down.
Yeah, for sure.
Whenever.
I appreciate that. I appreciate people who are eager to fucking like show their face, say what they have in their mind, but also stand on that shit. You know what I mean?
And it's like nice to be able to like brag about what the kids are doing. And like, cause Beat Lab, I think, is doing really good, important shit, right? Like,
for sure.
Part of what my kids love the most is we do a lot of like fundraisers, and we. I got.
Do you want to speak on those fundraisers that you have done?
Yeah, totally. But I was gonna say, like, this gives a huge opportunity to be able to be like, yo, guys, like, let's all work together. Let's all do this together, right? Like, the more. This gives people an opportunity to hear different points of view, right? From people DJing and leading other crews, because like, I don't know all the answers, right? I fucking am catching up to Beat Lab every day. Well, every day I couldn't.
Well, I mean,
it's moving faster than I am.
Well, for sure. Especially if you're the head of it, but there's 12 people who are planning different things, you know, or wanting different things also, expecting different things.
Well, and
you
they've
know?
all got, yeah, they're all very talented, like in their own right. So they've all got shit they want to do, right?
For sure.
But so we work a lot with Very Good Beat Club.
Mm-hmm. Shout out, Very Good Beat Club. Shout out, fucking Johnny. Shout out, fucking Thomas. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna bring something up that is a little like okay.
Let's do it.
Okay. Meraki Beat Lab and Very Good Beat Club had an event, right?
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We had it at
really cool.
Yeah. We had it originally at Phono Bar.
Oh, fuck.
And then we moved it over to Hawthorne, and then Hawthorne asked for like an astronomical amount of like expectations and shit.
Yeah. Oh, so you know, well, actually, you know what it was, and I will very openly speak about this. The event was supposed to be at the Foundry,
right?
And that shit was booked for, like, it was supposed to be booked on like a Wednesday. Mm-hmm. So what happened was they got this fucking new booking manager who literally has no fucking idea what she's doing. I had events on the books for months, weeks, that we'd already been promoting, that, you know, I was already told we have this event. Cause we've done a lot with Foundry since they opened, right? Like, and I fucking got
because Foundry's like kind of fairly new, right?
So they were like a brewery or something.
Right.
Rich dude bought it, and then Rich duded it, and then they were like kind of. I was in there when they were like building it and opening, and I love it. And Tyler, who does the sound there, is fucking super talented. Like, so they've got like a lot going for them. But what happened was, I think, the reality of what a monster that place is kind of set in. So it was a lot of, I thought they were going to go DJ forward, right? Like local DJ forward. So we had these events, and then all of a sudden I get a call from this woman, and she's like, yeah, so, we're going to go ahead and like apply like a $2,500 rental fee. And I was like, no, like that's absolutely not what we talked about. And I was like, this happened before you came in here. And then, so that whole thing, and I got like, I was like, this is absolutely not how you do business, right? Like, and then as we were doing another event, like a vibe check in January or something, walks up to me with a smile on her face. She's like, yeah, so we're going to have to move your April event. And I was like, get it off the fucking schedule. I was like, I don't want to do anything else here. So then we had been talking about like this Get Out the Way event, which John Glass and B-Lab, super talented DJ, like he's been doing this forever and ever because he's old.
He's like a
he's never gonna crack, but he's older than me. But he did he wanted to do this really fun thing during Black History Month, where he brought together local Black DJs and vendors, and and they were able to donate money, and we're gonna turn this into like a every other month or quarterly or something, because it's just it's watching the reactions of other Black DJs that have come in and been like, this is so cool, right? Like younger DJs, right? And I was like, John, look at this shit. And he was like, yeah, damn. It was like letting people know you can do this shit, right? You see people like you. And John he said very, and hopefully I deliver it correctly, like it's kind of like taking their music back, right? Because we all know where house music came from. Fucking Black people. We all know where right? And so this is kind of this way of like taking it back and honoring it and like being part of it, and just like giving this stage where so much has been taken and so much, every opportunity has to be dug out, right?
Yeah.
And he has this opportunity to give people space, and I think that's fucking lovely. So that event was supposed to be on like a Wednesday, and then our vibe check was on the Thursday. Well, guess what? That didn't happen because the woman took our event, because I think she got like fucking all woozied because I work with Very Good and with Beat Lab, and there were two different events.
Right.
And she just fucking threw that other event on there. And when we came back in, we were like, wait, what the fuck happened? She's like, whoopsies.
Yeah.
And we were like, no, that's not a whoopsie. That's a big fucking fuck up, because that was what we had to do after that was absolutely absurd.
For sure. And like the only reason why I bring that up is not necessarily to like put blame on any single one person.
I blame Carrie.
I'm not gonna put blame. I'm not gonna put blame on anyone. But like my thing was just like me, who was on the lineup, right? Who was a DJ, like promoted it to a certain extent, right? And told people I was gonna be at X place, and then next thing you know, it was almost like a week, like half a week.
It was like the day before, because all of a sudden Hawthorne came back to us like the day before and was like, "Hi, we want like $7,000.
Yeah.
You're unprofessional. Bye." We were just like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. So and that happened, but like okay, like the only reason I brought that up was because like you as an event coordinator, as someone who is the head of these of this collective being Beat Lab, like how. Obviously you reacted the way that you reacted, and that's in the past, but like how me personally, I probably would have canceled one or the other show.
So that was here's why we didn't. Everything, you know how when you try to polish a turd and your finger just goes in it? That was like every single thing that we tried to do. So we had this Hawthorne thing.
Right.
We were like, fucking great terms, whatever, da da da. And like I said, it was literally like the day before. And I think in our head, like in our hearts too, we were like, we've promoted this, right? Like, and I think it was just like a game time decision where we were kind of like, you know what? Fuck it, we're going live. Like it also is in us too, where we're like, we've gotten people to come into our thing. Like we've got guests to come in. And I think I don't remember necessarily I think we did, but Fabian is in the group chat, because we have an admin chat.
Yeah.
And we kind of like, not necessarily we're like, hey Fabian, like what do you think? Because who fucking knows what Fabian ever does? Mm-hmm. I don't want to know. I'm sure it's cool, but I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I think he rides the elevators a lot.
Yeah.
But it was kind of one of those things where it's like, hey, you don't want to do it, like, right, we're out. And I think it was just kind of something where it was like, nah, we cannot get fucking knocked out, right? Like shit happens, resilient, right? Like doing this shit. And look, if it were a big money, if it were a money event where we were like gonna lose a shit ton of fucking money, that's why we took it out of Hawthorne.
Yeah,
we were like, there's absolutely no fucking way.
For sure.
Yeah. But I think also we're like wanting to be resilient, right? Like this shit happens, and like,
the only reason why I bring that up is just like, okay, like business wise, right? I'm just talking about numbers only. Like you guys as a collective, right? Let's just say you guys bring 40 people in a show, right? Every show, 40 people that you can guarantee plus whoever they bring in. Wouldn't you want them all to go to one show versus splitting the crowd?
But how are we gonna get like canceling a fundraiser versus trying to get Johnny to fucking it was like
but also like
I think it was a lot of frustration too.
My thing was just like, why didn't you just drop out of the Valencia one, right, and just been like, hey, so let it just be this is, you know what I mean? this is some of the parts that come with being having feet in like other collectives, right? For sure.
So like Very Good Beat Club brought me in because we do like fundraisers, we do friends and benefits,
for sure, which is amazing, and they've been doing great shit.
They've been fucking doing
during
awesome
the pandemic
shit.
And everything.
We have one coming up in June, I believe.
Mm-hmm. What do you know what what's that fundraising for?
No.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's a secret to all of us. It's a secret.
Stay tuned.
It's a secret to everyone.
Yeah.
At one point, because I've been like, you know, talking back and forth about this, I was like, what do we do? And the fucked up thing too is like is our vibe check. We had just restarted it, and I think it was just kind of one of those like game time decisions where, look, this one is a fundraiser. This one is like here we
Yeah.
are. But there's also a lot of like personalities to go through too, right? Like we don't, like everything is kind of like a vote, right? As it should be, right? And I don't know, man. We knew the weather was going to be shitty. We knew that it was going to fucking snow, which it did. Like it snowed. Like it was just shitty weather. It was like shitty everything. But it did kind of and another reason we kept it a little bit is because the hours were off shifted. So Foundry was 5 to 12,
Right.
and then Vibe Check at Valencia was 7 to 2. So we had people in the beginning for ours that, or like theirs that came
For sure.
to ours.
You
and
guys
then,
definitely came after your guys' show. You
right.
guys
We
all
sent people and then everybody came back over. And it's like, I think in that situation, like it was,
Well,
it was
the only reason why having this conversation.
How would you have handled it?
The only reason why I am asking this conversation is for future event coordinators, for fucking people who are listening to.
Don't do anything. It's just wild. So part of it too was the Vibe Check name, right? We just brought it back
for sure.
And so it was all, and everything you do, every event you do is all very multiple parts and pieces. And I need people to understand that we don't plan events in a week, right? Like in March, B Lab had 2 really big events. We did Monarch Gardens and we did Public Works within like 2 weeks of each other, right? So it's fine. Everybody needs to understand that each of those events took 6 weeks of me just like, and that it's not 6 weeks together. That's overlapping. It's like draining and
right. It's a lot of planning. It's a lot of planning. And also it's like, as a person who plans these shows myself, like it's also hard to just throw away a show that you were fucking working on, right? We were like, dude, but I set this all up. I have these artists and they're all down. Like, I know I can make this work, right?
Well, and
like,
I think
in our heart of hearts, we think that we can make this work,
course,
right?
And always in my heart of hearts too, if there's one in there, we're locals, right? And I think at the end of the day, it's so much about getting local DJ seen,
right?
You know, and if like, and at that point too, it's like if you aren't planning on going to Foundry, come to us.
I mean,
you know,
not for nothing. Like, dude, that was regardless of said like venue that it was being held at, right? Whether that be at Fono, whether that be at Hawthorne, whether that be at Valencia, that would have been my first time playing at all those places.
Hey,
so for me,
cool.
I was just like, oh, it's something I can put on my resume, right?
Completely,
you know what I mean?
But it's a valid question.
Me as a DJ, I don't care, right?
Yeah, but you know what the other side is.
But like that's my point. Where we're just like, I'm looking at everything, and I'm just like, wait, whoa. I know you're a part of Very Good Beat Club, but I also know you're the head of Beat Lab. So I'm just like, what is going on? You know? And I'm like, I'm like, not to say that you stepped on your own show, but like,
oh man, it was, it
was weird.
And me in that position, fuck me. It was not a good like couple days to be Avery. And you know, like, there's not even anything. It's not you live and you learn, right? Because you get kicked in the dick for several different reasons when you do this job. But like, I do think also because of what a fucking nightmare that shit was, that at the end of the day, we were all like, we're doing it.
Yeah.
You know, like I think we had climbed too fucking, or like got too like, climbed up too high and just weren't willing to fucking.
Well, also like, not for nothing, like if I'm head of a collective, right? And if I have 5 of my DJs playing at one place and then 4 of my DJs playing at another place, to me that's a dub. To me, right? Like that to me, like regardless of the details, right?
Right.
Like to me, I'm like, I got all like I got 9 of my people fucking DJing.
Hell
like, dude, we're out here, you know?
Right. And it was also like, it was also again like another situation where it's like, it's a fundraiser,
right?
And John putting himself out there to like push and do stuff like this, and it, you know, it was very important and it was a good move. And like, I think Vibe Check was really important too, because first of all, I know Johnny and like Tommy have been, and Justin and Fabian, like they've worked so hard on branding shit too, right? And I kind of sometimes at the end of the day, I think it's just about like getting local DJs on. And I mean, obviously, would I do that again? I don't even want to DJ.
Right. I feel that.
I quit Beat Lab 7 times that day.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, you know, you kind of go, oh,
No, and like, I don't mean to bring this up as
that's
like,
it. No, that's a great question.
Like, you know, like,
No, it was
like to try to kind of like,
that was
like
stupid.
dog
I
on you
definitely
or
don't
whatever,
do that
or
shit.
like, you know, but like,
Yeah.
it's these are the conversations that I think people like should hear,
Right.
because it's really important, and it's also like it will only help the community and everyone grow
Right.
if we realize like, hey, like honestly, like it doesn't make sense for a show to be at F8 audio, Bergerac,
Right.
you know, all in the same day when we all know we want to support all of our friends.
Completely,
You know?
completely. And I think another thing that DJs, like new and old, bookers new and old, need to understand. Sometimes shit fucking happens, right? And
sure.
like you know those
Well,
like
also like not for nothing.
clubs cancel fucking
Honestly,
yeah.
if it wasn't you, it's gonna be someone else.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like
Right.
that's the harsh reality of
Right.
everything. Is just like someone else is looking for that opportunity. You
Completely.
know?
And then
like,
but the fact that we did that, right? Now we like have good standing with Valencia Room, because I would fucking rather eat my own teeth than do anything with Foundry. Like it's just and it was super like, I think this situationally, and again, I have no problem fucking being this person. Again, what I just said, I understand shit happens sometimes, but it's the way you take care of it, right? It's the way like, yeah, even if you're new stepping in, you got to be cognizant enough to look at what, like I stepped in, I've been a new booker somewhere, and you know what I did? I looked and I said, well, what do we have planned? What do I need to fill, right? I didn't say, well,
Yeah.
like a reset, like, and it sucks though. I mean, and
yeah.
it sucks.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Dude,
it's hard.
And
it's so hard.
It sucks for me too, right?
it-
Like that shit sucks.
Me and you, I like. We're unfortunately the heads of our operations, right? I'm not the head of Meraki, but I am the head of the Bay Area Collective, right? Like there hasn't been an event because I haven't planned it. You know what I mean? And like that's the harsh reality. When people want Meraki to be a part of it, they hit me up, and that's not a cocky shit. That's just what the reality is. And
Well,
like
that's what happened with. That's why I have them booking Wednesdays. I fucking like after that whole March, like March Madness, but like
But you also, the benefit that you have, right? Like kind of like to switch the topic a little bit.
Sure.
Like you are fortunate enough to like live up north a little bit. I live in South Bay, so it's a little bit harder for me to plan shows at
Totally.
Monarch. Like I don't, or
and,
FA or
right, and places like that too. They get very used to the faces that they know.
For sure.
So if you're not able to be up there all the time, it's
And if-
almost like a fucking.
And if I'm only there maybe once every 2 weeks, people just see me as like a person who goes there versus like a person who is valuable.
Correct. Totally.
And like valuable is a really like a weird word to say, but like when you're talking about like financial tickets, money, bar sales, like all this shit, like that's what they give a fuck about. Like we're all just a monetary thing.
And
you know?
it's like, and San Francisco is not that big, right? It's 7 square miles, so you get used to the people that you know, right? Like
for sure,
right? Like
well, I mean, like
people will tend to go with a crew they have met or they've seen, right?
Sure. Like I mean, to give, I guess to kind of like give props, right? Is like people like Soundproof, people like Dirty Not Sorry, people like Admin 1K, right?
Right.
Like those people did it necessarily without having to tag along with all the other like people who were scrambling, you know? And we are all scrambling for the most part. We're all trying to make a name while they connected themselves with clubs like YOLO. They connected themselves with clubs like Bergerac. They or whatever.
You want to be connected with YOLO though?
But at the end of the day,
I totally
but at
get
the
it.
end of the day,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if YOLO's gonna give you a $2,000 check and you can keep $1,000 and you can pocket that $1,000 for the next artist, big artist, headlining artist,
Totally.
wouldn't you not?
I mean, I don't think I would go to YOLO. They're trash.
Sure.
No, but I get it. But I get what you're saying. No,
you know what I
100%. 100% get what you're saying. Totally.
But I'm also like a monetary numbers guy, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
well,
how
I mean,
that's how I think.
You gotta be, right?
Or like,
If you're gonna be in charge of something, you've got to be. I have someone for that.
For sure. And like I'm all like I'm more so like community based and like making sure that everyone kind of gets like their fair look, you know, at some point, right? But at the end of the day, like I can't do that without said people giving me an opportunity, you know?
Yeah.
And that's really hard. And then like, it's just really hard being like fair and also profitable. Right.
That's why I didn't want to do that shit in clubs anymore. Like there was no fucking way to do that. Right. Like absolutely no way to do that. You have these local crews bringing in 200 people or whatever, and you know, barely making anything. And then you have like out of date, like headliner coming in that brings half the people and they're giving them, you know, a couple grand. Like to me, make that shit make sense.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It like, for me personally, like I can see the money that clubs and venues make. Right. And I'm like, if you guys were to put like 10% of that revenue into the artist or the event, even if it's just decorations, right? Like
fixing things. So
dude, that would just literally elevate so much. Yeah. But also, I'm not privy to the information that they have, right? I don't know how much rent is for them. I don't understand like all this other stuff, like what their overhead is. And like that's where I'm trying to understand like all parties involved. But it's really hard. And especially when people don't want to give you that information. People aren't willing to be like, I actually lost money, because losing means you lost.
I think that, and I think people need to start being more honest with that shit too. So you don't have a bunch of crews like, why can't I get like events? Like, well, because it costs us money to open the club.
Yeah.
Right. But I also think a lot of crews don't understand that as well. Like, I think a lot of crews think it's just super fucking fun to go DJ, which it is very much. But like, have you ever seen me run a show? Like, I am in the back of the room, just like fucking butthole tight as shit. Like, head in my hand. Even if it's going right, like even if it's going well, like even if there are people there, and it's just like you got to think about everyone, right? Like from the door people to the security to the fucking bartenders. If you don't bring people, I'm a bartender too. If people don't come to the shows, I don't make money.
Like for people who are looking at us and like hearing this conversation, let's just be real. Like you have to pay the door person $100 minimum, right? For the entire,
pay them 125 at least
for minimum, right?
Yeah, they got to deal with shit,
right? You know, minimum, and then you have to pay 4 to 6 DJs minimum. This sucks, but minimum $75, right?
Newer guys 75. Then
it goes up from there. You know,
try to work that out as much as you can.
So if you have 6 guys, even just at $75 each person, that's still fucking $400 that you have to fucking pop up.
And they're expecting us to get that shit from the door, which is fine. But also like bars need to be giving percentages. They need to be giving 10%. Up until like $1,000. Then after that, you hit 15, you hit 12%. Like this is just basic copacetic working. Like it makes me want to do better, right? The fuck am I going to do? Come in there and like just do all of this work, right? And then walk out with fucking not a dime because like they're not willing to toss money into events that they want at their club. It's just like it's so fucking wild to me.
It's I don't know.
It's a lot tighter, obviously, since like COVID and since coming back. Like obviously everyone's like drained and shit, but like don't put half of your fucking budget into one.
But also no. But also no.
Right. Don't reopen.
Like outside of the fucking the stimulus checks that we got individually, these clubs got fucking like full on like tax breaks. They got all this other shit during all this shit. I also
very much feel like if you are not paying people because you don't have the money in your club, bar, whatever, don't fucking run shows. Right? Yeah. Like, you know, like you're expecting, it's like landlords, right? Like expecting you to pay their fucking rent. They won't, right? You know, like it's all just nobody, I don't think I think a lot of things haven't been together, right? Like I think a lot of things have been very much like the talent and like we make the rules, and it's just it's so fucking silly.
Yeah, it's real backwards.
Well, if we wanted to be like we're really in charge, right? Like the DJs could absolutely.
But, okay. Oh, I mean, the same way. I guess like there's always been a conversation for like rappers to do this union thing, right?
I
like,
was just talking about doing a DJ union.
You know, but like because there isn't a union for us to be like, oh, I'm tied into this thing. You're like, I'm the service.
Right.
You're just the fucking venue, right? You're asking us to come here.
Yeah, I think another very important thing that all of us need to start doing, basic contracts. Basic contracts. Even if you're going to pay me $0, say that and we both sign it.
Right.
Yeah. Like none of this fucking bullshit where you're like, well, how much is everybody came? No, we need contracts for this shit.
Right.
You know, like, and it's simple. Like Beat Lab's got a basic contract, and just the more that we hold them accountable, the more accountable they have to be.
For sure. Even just like with me and Matt, like he's even brought up the fact that like we should have a contract for these podcasts, right? Like, just
a video release waiver.
Yeah, you know, just something basic where it's just like, hey, like we have the right to use your likeness the way that we recorded it.
Right. And it's also like you're also not like fucking around, you know what I mean? Like you're also not sitting here like, hey, you want to come down to my podcast?
Yeah.
Well, like this is like a thing, right? Getting sponsored, like
and like that's the whole like that's what I really wanted to get like down to it is like I think these conversations, right? Like and unfortunately, right? Like it sounds like I'm picking on you a little bit, and I don't mean it to sound like that,
you're not.
right?
No,
and I hope it doesn't come off that way.
Absolutely not.
But these are just like questions, right?
Oh
these
yeah, of course.
Like,
this is like questions that people don't ask, though, right? So people don't know.
And also, I just wanted to, like me as an event coordinator, I wanted to know what the fuck was going on in your mind, being like, oh shit, I do have an event this day, and I did kind of take the venue spot that I had.
It was hamsters on wheels. It was like just 3 hamsters just on wheels, and it was sometimes we can just say it's bigger than us. That was kind of it, though, right? I mean? That was kind of it, though. It was just kind of, it was out of my hands. You know,
just
right?
Bigger than us. What can you do? What can you do?
Right, and then that just goes along with what I said. Like sometimes shit gets canceled. Sometimes shit like you either fucking make something out of it or you bitch about it. You know, I bitched about it and made something out of it. Yeah. You can do both.
But like, yeah,
no, you're right. That's a good question because nobody's ever like I never really have had to like explain myself, right, for that. And I think this is important though.
Yeah, and like me, like the only reason why I brought this up was mainly because like I was privy to the other comments, right?
Yeah.
You know, and like I'm not gonna call anyone out, but it was just like I was privy to all the other comments, and I'm just like,
we know,
and I was just like,
we
okay,
had the
well, like I didn't. Me personally, like Meraki was a part of this said event, but we weren't the hosts. We were just the tag along.
Well, and also something I didn't mention is we didn't find out because we had this event booked for we didn't find out
till like 5 days prior that we got a new venue, and then
like
the night,
and
like
that
before.
that was how we found out was that like I called to be like, hey, so blah blah blah, and she was like, oh, like, oh no, that's not a good O.
Yeah,
that's not a good O at all. But the other thing that happened too is, and this was kind of like on the other side of it, was after our first one that we did there, we had spoken to someone about like, all right, we talked about this being a monthly, and then when that February date came up, I messaged the owner and I was like, hey, this was supposed to be a monthly, like why aren't we blocked off on it? Like what the fuck? And he was like, well, like we had to see how it went. I go, that's not what was talked about though. So this is why I feel like just everything in fucking writing. Yeah. You know, like emails, all like everything. And I honestly don't think people are out to be like assholes. But also I think sometimes people aren't not out to be right. Like they're not trying not to be assholes, right? Like they're just like
my thing is just like I was already privy to the information of like there was a new booking person at said club and blah 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 and all this other things, and I was privy to that information. So I was like, I kind of understand how something kind of like fell through, right?
Well,
I understand that.
Well,
part.
and then it was that, and then my other event, and then I get a message from her, and she's like, "Hey, just checking in about your March 11th event." And I go, "I don't have a March 11th event."
Yeah.
So it was just this like, and every time that something else got fucked up, I would send a screenshot to like the admin chat.
Yeah.
And more, I think it was like, you guys, I. This is what it was.
Right.
This is what is happening.
Yeah.
And I know that I know that shit directly, like fucking everyone, like which is fine because again,
But
I had my feet in both things, but also what are you gonna do? Cancel a fundraiser or tell Johnny we're not doing an event?
Yeah, that's true.
I dare you.
And once again, the only reason why I bring this up is because like I feel comfortable enough knowing your position and what your crew is.
That's a great question. That's a great question because this stuff happens more than This stuff happens more than we think it does.
Right.
Yeah.
And also like this is also like a conversation that I hope that like crews listen to and be like, oh shit, like, well, if said crew has a date on this date, why am I going to book another DJ on this date?
Right.
Like knowing that we're going to split the crowds, we're going to split the revenue, we're going to do all this thing.
This
we're
is something
force people to choose.
Well, this is something that I've been trying to like very much say, like pulling together is going to make everything stronger, right? Well, I agree. You can't sit there and like gatekeep days and be like, you can't throw an event because I'm doing it. But also let's figure out how we can do it so it works out.
For sure.
So we can go support, right? And I think that's the bottom line of everything too, is like, we got to support ourselves. We got to support each other. We got to figure out how to do this together because there are bigger events going on at how do we keep people at our events?
Yeah.
You know? And it's all a learning process and it's never going to be perfect, obviously. Right. And it's fucking, there are some days when it's amazing and you get on this really cool high and then your next event is a fucking turd and you want to absolutely stop living. And like, there's like not really, I don't want to say there's not in betweens, but the in betweens are just kind of like complacent shit, right? Like live, like,
yeah.
And then the bad ones, if they don't make you want to do better, then stop doing it.
Dude,
right?
when
like,
you're doing events, it's either Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. Like it literally feels that way.
Thursdays are the fucking worst day ever. Thursdays in this city.
Well, by what I mean by that, it's either like, it's a Monday where it's just like people aren't showing up. It's a Wednesday where like people.
There's a lot of events.
It's hump
on Wednesdays.
day, it's hump day, and then like people like the energy's bubbling up a little bit, and then Friday is like it's game time,
Fridays,
right?
Yeah, and Fridays are more and more turning into like if you don't have like a headliner, you're not getting a Friday event
for sure.
Yeah,
and like that's we're getting back to the point where like. We're not in COVID anymore.
No, definitely not.
You know what I mean? So like now the local spots are starting to be more and more slim, which means that unfortunately there's more and more competition. Correct. And I don't mean competition in the sense of like I need to be better than so and so.
Right, but just events, like just a bunch of events.
Right.
You know?
And it's just hard. It's just hard.
Well, it's good to see though. You love to see it. Except when I'm fucking throwing an event, right?
For
like,
sure,
you know, I love to see like everyone new create, like love to see it.
Right. And like, it's hard. It's hard. And like, it's crazy. Cause that's why like, as of late, like I've been really supporting all the people who are in San Jose, the people who are in Santa Cruz. Like we're gonna have Steph on the next episode. Shout out Steph, I love you. And she's from Santa Cruz, and she's
the best place to be from.
She just opened up for Chris Lorenzo.
Yeah, that's fucking rad.
You know what I mean?
I love Chris. Boom.
Yeah, I love
that
too.
guy.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
But it's just
that's just it, right? Like we do have talent,
market, right?
But we do have people that are that talented, right? Like, just about kind of trying to get people seen.
It's just,
I think San Francisco, though, because it's so small, is a good place to do it. It's just not going to happen overnight, right?
It just
like, you gotta push.
What San Francisco feels to me, it feels like what maybe like people who live in Reno feel like, where they're like, we're the biggest little city, right?
Fucking.
We are the biggest little fucking market, right?
Right, and especially music, right? Like
for sure,
you know
that's what I mean the
music,
most.
Yeah,
you know?
Music's been like such a big part of San Francisco in like always, right? Like jazz and all this stuff, and like you see it though. The city definitely is like like the cool kid. If the cool kid is like playing house, then the city just shifts house, right? Like, let's not do that, right? Like fucking, I have this event that I used to throw called multi-tracks, and I encouraged people to spin like, 10 different genres if it sounds good, right? Like start at deep house, go into some house shit, play some, right? Like just fucking put a story together. I think so much of it is these younger kids, right, that were bedroom DJs that didn't get told to
not spin this thing.
Right. Don't play the same. You like, don't play house for like, 60 minutes, right? Like shift it up a little bit. Don't play the exact same feeling for change the tempo, So like what multi-tracks did, and I feel somebody brought it up too. They were like, oh, so you're describing like your collective. I'm like, yeah, man. We've got people that play everything, right? Like, and I'm not saying I've got DJs that, well, I do. They're very good, but we have DJs that specialize. Like that's their favorite thing. They like to do techno, tribal, drum and bass, Baltimore house, but they're also very well versed at other things. But this means like we can throw an event, like any event we throw, the Monarch Gardens one. 8 out of 9 of us played. We added 2 since then. But like everybody played their own style and it was fucking incredible.
Okay. To kind of like, to bring it back to like you individually, right? Speaking of like styles and everything else, like, okay, you individually as a DJ, right? Because you are a DJ alongside of being a event coordinator. Like, what would you say your style is, and where did you get your inspiration from?
So I love drum and bass very much. I've been playing drums for a while. Like my dad was really musical, but I started when I was DJing playing like cumbia and Latin house and everything because that was familiar. Then I lost my hearing.
Wait, what ethnicity is it? You mentioned it a little bit earlier, but
Mexican and native and white.
Yeah. Okay.
White people.
Cool. So you're Californian.
So yeah, essentially, right? Like
I'm from California.
I'm a Mexi melt.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And I've always loved like when I was like 16, like 20 years ago, I would like sneak into events in San Jose that are drum and bass events, like underground, and just like the whole culture and community of it was amazing. So before I spun my first event, I lost my hearing.
Right.
And I can't do it. And then my roommate made fun of me and I was like, I'll show you. And now this fucking shit, thanks to Feed.
Shout out.
Yeah. But drum and bass was what I could function with because I couldn't hear and I didn't know how to have one ear. And I was like, well, I'm too stubborn. I already said I was going to fucking do it. Now I got to do it. But like, but it's funny because when I spin other genres, which I love, right? Like I love DJing. I DJ. That's how I make like a good portion of my money, shockingly, because I know my titties get in the way. My titties get in the way of some girl.
Hella funny.
And house is fucking hard, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I have a hard time hearing like certain levels between like the highs and the mids. But on top of that, you have patient, right? It's, and so you can definitely tell that I'm a drum and bass DJ when I spin like but you can tell my drum and bass has gotten better because of more influences of like other genres.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah, but and like jungle, like how can you like
not
fucking,
love that?
Yeah, it's like shit that just makes you move even though you're not trying to.
Yeah, like me personally, like I spin house, right?
Yeah.
Like, and of course I'll play to the crowd.
What kind of house would you say that you?
I tend to do more like what people would consider bass house. I guess.
Yeah, totally. It's just fun as hell.
Yeah. Like that would be, I guess, like the overcompassing like genre that I do. But I'll spin Latin house. I'll do all this other things and blah blah blah. Melodic, fucking progressive.
I fucking love spinning melodic. Those long ass mixes.
Yeah,
you could eat your spaghetti while you're doing it.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's just like it just depends on where I'm at what
the crowd wants.
Well, what the crowd
it's not
wants.
really about us. They're here, right?
Yeah.
Like we'd be Spotify if they didn't show up to our stupid. Like how fucking stupid is that we get to do that shit?
It's
in San Francisco.
Dude, I literally we were at the bar and I was just telling her, I was like, dude, I just got paid.
Yeah.
Like I just got paid to spin, you know.
It was ridiculous. Like,
Like-
who the fuck, like, and I always think it's so funny when you got the little Peter Pan DJs up there, like, not giving a fuck about, right? Just having a good them session. Like, how dare you?
Right.
Right? Like, what the fuck? What do you, we don't, this is a silly job. It's so
Dude,
good.
this podcast is gonna sound like I'm pushing back so much, but like
push-
also,
let's go.
I love when people fucking play their own shit. Where
I
they're
love
like,
that too,
when
but
they're
don't
like,
play it
feel-
selfishly. Like, that's what I mean. Like, don't sit there at a fucking. I had a DJ come on before me once that it was a house show and he came up and played like techno.
Oh, okay,
like, that's
for sure, for
bullshit.
sure, for
That's
sure,
what I'm
for
talking
sure.
about. No,
Okay,
I
yeah, I feel that.
absolutely
I
play
feel
your
that.
shit.
Right,
yeah,
right.
I'm talking about like read the fucking room.
For sure, for sure,
right?
for sure,
Like,
for sure.
look out at the crowd. One of
Yeah,
my
yeah,
favorite
yeah.
things to do is to find one or two people jamming, and I just play for those two.
Right,
I'm like,
right,
yeah,
right.
this is about us.
Because that's your crowd, right?
Yeah,
like people
hell yeah,
who are
you guys
dancing are gonna
get it,
make the other
let's
people
go, yeah.
dance. But nah, honestly, I wish I can have you for fucking forever. Honestly, but is there? Do you want to like shout out your socials, everything else, like Beat Labs and yours and everyone else?
We're on Instagram, beatlab.collective. I'm Moray _Rivers. And then the best one is extra _Gravery. Because honestly, if I could die in a big bowl of gravy, I probably would.
Let's go. Let's go. That gravy boat. Let's go.
Yeah, and then on the Instagram channel, which fucking Tiana just runs like a goddamn dream.
I love Tiana.
Everyone, she does a great job of tagging everyone. You can find everyone's tags through there. But we just, come out, see some shit. If you don't like it, fuck you.
Do you guys have a upcoming show between?
So we have we're getting this together now. We're doing an event with CJ Larson.
Okay.
At Bricks in Oakland. So it's going to be a Memorial Day thing.
Yeah. Okay. Shout out
Pumped.
Bricks.
Yeah,
you guys are fucking awesome.
Yeah,
You guys,
we're doing 2 floors.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's
okay.
going to be a fucking all day banger.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Bricks has done a lot of dope shit.
Bricks,
especially with
it's
very
so
good beat club.
unassuming. Yeah, it's so unassuming too. It's just like
Right,
I
right.
love that the downstairs is like outside.
Yeah, it's like outside, inside.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's,
and the
it's
upstairs
super,
is just like really cool. Like they put the DJ booth way up high. I was like,
Yeah.
I'll be so tall.
So I mean, everyone, take a peep in the description if you guys want tickets to that. But outside of that, you guys can catch me at George.Daniel __, or you guys can catch me at, or all the Meraki stuff at Meraki.Bay and then if you want to like check out all the stuff that we have up north with SAC, shout out Lex. That is MerakiSac.events. They have so much shit going on constantly. They've been doing everything very, very well. And yeah, just stay tuned.
Meraki gets it.
Yeah,
I'll fuck with them.
Yeah, just stay tuned. We have some things cooking. I have some things in the work, but I'm ironing out.
Be the tortoise.
Yeah, it's slow and steady
Do
right
it
now.
right, yeah.
We want to do things right, not just to do it.
Correct. Yeah. It's
So-
like it's really like easy to do nothing, but it's like not that hard to like do something right if you give yourself a base,
Right. So thank you guys once again. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It really fucking helps us.
Smash that follow button.
Smash that shit. Do that shit. Help us out.
Yo, thanks for like letting me walk here and have some exercise and stuff. I ate some nuggies on the way. It was probably gross looking. People watching me jam fucking nuggets into my face
Dude,
on the
you should have
train.
seen her at the bar earlier. But with that being said, I love you guys. Once again,
you.
like, comment, subscribe. Matt, I love you. Shout out to our studio audience.
Yo, this is rad. I'm super proud of you. This is fucking awesome. Thank you very, very much.
No. Thank you for coming out.
this
Thank you for
is-
taking
this
the
is
time
really
out.
good.
Yeah. No, this is exactly what I want the podcast to be.
Well,
It's like
look
an
at
open
that.
dialogue. You know what I mean?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Great.
But no, thank you again. And yeah, everyone, check out all the links in the description. Like, comment, subscribe, and peace.
Bye.
Peace.